said you, though?
The testament of Issachar is generally centered on the concept of singleness, not in terms of a relationship status, but regarding a sole devotion of mind, heart, and behavior. Unlike most of the other speakers in the 12 Patriarchs, Issachar claims a relatively unblemished moral life. He credits this in part to his contentment with simple living and fulfillment found in manual labor. In doing so, he encourages his progeny to pursue an uncomplicated, satisfying life.
And now hearken to me, my children, and walk in singleness of your heart, for I have seen in it all that is well-pleasing to the Lord. The single-minded man covets not gold, he overreaches not his neighbor, he longs not after manifold dainties, he delights not in varied apparel, he does not desire to live a long life, but only waits for the will of God. And the spirits of deceit have no power against him. For he looks not on the beauty of women, lest he should pollute his mind with corruption. There is no envy in his thoughts, nor worry with insatiable desire in his mind. For he walks in singleness of soul, and beholds all things in uprightness of heart, shunning eyes made evil through the error of the world, lest he should see the perversion of any of the commandments of the Lord. Except my wife, I have not known any woman. I never committed fornication by the uplifting of my eyes. I drank not wine to be led astray thereby. I coveted not any desirable thing that was my neighbor's. Guile arose not in my heart. A lie passed not through my lips. If any man were in distress, I joined my sighs with his, and I shared my bread with the poor. I wrought godliness all my days. I kept truth. I loved the Lord. Likewise also every man with all my heart. So do you also these things, my children, and every spirit of Beliar shall flee from you. And no deed of wicked men shall rule over you. And every wild beast you shall subdue, since you have with you the God of heaven and earth, and walk with men in singleness of heart.
We know that to love the Lord our God and to love our neighbor are the greatest of all the commandments. Doing so in singleness of heart and mind is submitting to the will of God. Like Issachar, who declares that practicing these instructions will empower you against Satan and his spirits, the Apostle James puts it this way:
Submit therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded.
Zebulun was the sixth son of Jacob. His text relates what he learned as a result of the plot against his brother Joseph, and how he was consequently molded into a compassionate, charity-minded man. Zebulun testifies that obedience to God's instructions and love of one another provided him and his household the blessing of God's protection from illness and injury.
And now, my children, I give you to keep the commands of the Lord, and to show mercy to your neighbors, and to have compassion towards all, not towards men only, but also towards beasts. For all this thing's sake the Lord blessed me, and when all my brethren were sick, I escaped without sickness. For the Lord knoweth the purpose of each. Have therefore compassion in your hearts, my children, because even as a man doeth to his neighbor, even so also will the Lord do to him. For the sons of my brethren were sickening, and were dying on account of Joseph, because they showed not mercy in their hearts. But my sons were preserved without sickness, as ye know. And when I was in the land of Canaan, by the sea coast, I made a catch of fish for Jacob my father, and when many were choked in the sea, I continued unhurt.
The ultimate goal of spiritual combat is the future fulfillment of salvation, aka the resurrection to eternal life for all who endure to the end. And Zebulun uplifts his sons with the promise of this event accordingly.
And now, my children, grieve not that I am dying, nor be cast down in that I am coming to my end. For I shall rise again in the midst of you, as a ruler in the midst of his sons, and I shall rejoice in the midst of my tribe, as many as shall keep the law of the Lord, and the commandments of Zebulun their father. But upon the ungodly shall the Lord bring eternal fire, and destroyed them throughout all generations. But I am now hastening away to my rest, as did also my fathers. But do ye fear the Lord our God with all your strength all the days of your life.
If the grand finale of our victory in this fight ends with the ungodly destroyed by fire, and those who have kept God's law living forever, then there should be no question of which side of the fight we want to be on.
If you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments,